Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm so excited for today's stream. We have David and Dan joining us from Localazy. I'm so excited about this. This is something that well, let me give you a quick story. I tried to demo their plugin like a couple of community calls ago. And I think I didn't do as good of a job. So I'm glad that they're here to kind of talk about their service, which is amazing because one of the hardest pain points for a lot of people is how do you handle multilingual websites? So they're basically going to tell us the best way and the easiest way to do that. But before we do that, let's have you both introduce yourselves. I guess start with David.
Yeah, so hi everyone, I'm David from Localazy and I'm a developer and also I'm a creator of this plugin, which we're gonna talk about in a bit.
Hi, I'm Dan. I'm the lead front-end developer here, and I'm going to mostly guide you around the localization itself, how to provide the translations, how to manage people inside Localazy, how to define some nifty features that could improve the quality of the overall translations, and then I'll push it back to David into his Strapi plugin, and that will be it. We will show you how easy to get that is.
Nice. So before we get into the demo, can we talk about what is Localazy?
Sure, absolutely. So Localazy is a Czech-based company that started in 2020, and we like to call ourselves a versatile localization management platform. It's platform and programming language independent, meaning that as long as you have your localization assets in some file format, such as JSON or YAML or something that's commonly used, you can easily upload it to Localazy, manage the translation, and get the translations easily and easily retrieve them back again, regardless of what kind of technology or product or framework you're using. So one of our goals is to be able to help you to talk to your users in their language. That's our ultimate goal.
Nice. Awesome. Awesome. And what made you decide to build a plugin?
Okay, so this is rather a question for me, no?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, cool. So first of all, people asked us a couple of times whether we're planning to develop a Strapi plugin. And we wanted those people, those potential clients on board. So that was one of the reasons we decided to develop it. And well, we've seen the potential of getting new customers on board to Localize, in general. And also we wanted to get into the world of CMSs.
Yeah.
And this is still currently, we're focusing on that, on integrating into a third-party apps and platforms. And we also wanted to get into a Strapi community. And back then the marketplace was new, right? And we thought that was a good opportunity to start with. And we also spotted the fact that Strapi does not automate localizing the content good enough. That's why we're here. And well, yeah, basically make the localization easier for current customers who use or thinking to start using Strapi. And we really think that it was a good choice because, well, it all clicked. Bigger customers contacted us really soon after releasing the plugin. And well, to sum it up, all of that I just said, and Dan already mentioned it, that our mission is to break the language barriers and therefore offer these Strapi users a way to communicate with their users in their language. That's it, basically. That's why we built a plugin.
That is awesome. That's amazing. And to your point, yes, at Strapi, we try to make the best features that we can, but we're doing so much stuff that we can't make every feature be as, I don't know what the word for it is, but basically what I'm getting at, it's amazing that you saw a need that you could solve by building a plugin that both introduced the service that you provided to reach a new market, but you also added additional value to Strapi by building a plugin and introducing a service. And I think, more companies should do that, extending and making the use of friction of using a service way, way easier. Because for me, that's how I discovered your plugin. I was like, I really want to do easier time of translating stuff on my website, but I didn't know enough like to manually set it up. And so I was like, wait, let me check it out. We have this Localazy plugin. They have this amazing service. So I checked out your website, and it literally solves the problem. And I think for a lot of people who are building and they want to go to market quickly, they might not want to like implement certain features by themselves just for like time constraints. They just want to see, is there a plugin that could help me meet my goals so I could get this project out faster? And I think for all the websites basically now being international, because you could access them on the web, it is great to have a feature that allows you to translate the content to whatever language. So I guess we could talk about like Localazy in a little bit more detail, go through a demo, and then if people have questions, they could let us know in the comments, and then we'll do like a Q&A section. So let's do that.
Sounds great.
So let's start the demo.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Okay,
so
let me just...
And before we begin, and before David prepares it, I would just like to bring up one topic regarding localization, and that is very often people, from my experience at least, it feels like people understand that localizing their services and their websites is important, although they cannot really evaluate how much. And it's hard for them to compare the benefits of having your product and your sites multilingual versus the amount of effort it would take to do that, especially with existing projects. Is at least when you're developing from scratch, really time consuming trying to localize an existing project, let's say in Java or something that isn't prepared for that. That's not really the case with Strapi. The nice thing about Strapi is that you can have your collections, have your content, everything in place already. And at one point you decide that you would like to try to reach other markets in other languages. And with this plugin, it's really easy. There's really almost no barrier to start, which is really amazing in comparison to some other platforms and services.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I'm excited. I'm excited to see it. So I'm gonna bring David's screen up and have David walk us through this.
Yep. Okay, guys. So I don't want to show you the step-by-step installation process because everyone knows that. Everyone's seen it 1,000 times in other demos and guidelines and whatever. So just to sum it up, the marketplace is super simple. Just copy the command, run it, build the Strapi admin with running the npm run build command, and you're ready to go. And that's where we will start. Okay, so first of all, before we even start with the plugin, I'd like to show you the project structure, the demo project structure, because we'll be working with those collections and entries. So I think it's good to have a context about the content in Strapi. I'm going to show you how it looks when it's uploaded in Localazy, then the translated content in Localazy, and then the final look of those localized entries back in Strapi. So I actually test when I'm doing the development of a plugin, I actually test the plugin on these collections. So there's a couple of simple ones, going to the more complicated ones with nested components and dynamic zones. There's various field types to cover because I just want to cover as much possibilities as I can. But I'm going to show you just a few of them. And the first one is a cookbook, because everyone likes to eat, right? So there's a cookbook. And so we have some basic fields, which is a title, author's name, pages, how many pages does that cookbook have? And there's two components. Yeah, two of them. One of them is recipes, which contains a name, a rich text of the recipe, and there's a gallery, estimated cook time. So as you can see, there's various types of fields. And there's, again, a nested component with ingredients. There's also a gallery from that cookbook. And there's another example we'll be using, or I'm going to show you that how it looks when it's downloaded and localized. And it's more of a relations type of thing. There's a course which has a couple of chapters. It can contain chapters, and those chapters can have lessons. Okay, and in that lesson, you can have some type of the lesson which is a dynamic zone, and it can be either a lecture or quiz or a survey. Okay, so this is like the builder, the types, and now I'm going to show you some of the entries really quickly. So let's look at the cookbook. I have 2 entries over here. There's a title, the author. There's a recipe for potato salad, right? There's some gallery. You can see the image over here. There's some ingredients, potatoes, peas. There's a amount unit. Okay, and then there's the second one, which is the course, which is called Math Basics. You can learn the basics of math over here. And that course has 1 chapter, which is an addition. And that addition chapter has 2 lectures. Lecture of addition, and then there's a test from addition, where I've added a quiz, and there's a couple of questions, 1 + 1, and answer is 2, and another example can be how many cups are on the photo, and the answer is 15. So this is basically some demo content. We're gonna show you how the plugin works on that.
Yeah,
Okay,
I just want
so
to quickly jump
yeah.
in for a second, just to say, I love the fact that you have a very substantial example. You're using dynamic zones, components, like nested components. That's pretty awesome.
Exactly.
Like, and now looking at this, I'm like, I don't even want to manually know how you would translate that that type of structure. So I'm glad that you have this.
It looks crazy. Like, how would you do it manually? Like,
wow,
you just need to automate it.
Those
Awesome.
dynamic components are actually one of our latest additions to the Strapi plugin. You couldn't even showcase it the last time you were talking about our service. And
that is awesome.
It is a great example of a feature that was developed based on a user feedback. That wasn't our idea, that was the idea of our users. And it's awesome. Like, it's so much better now, thanks to it.
Man, I'm glad you are here, because
Yes.
I think, yeah, this is awesome. So let's go.
Yes.
Let's do this. This is great.
We like released the support for dynamic zones last week, so it's
Wow,
pretty
nice.
fresh.
That's release and announcement. No, fantastic.
Yeah. Okay, so let me just start. We're gonna log in with the Strapi instance and connect it to the Localazy plugin, to the Localazy account. Sorry. So just click the button, and there you go. This is our all-out process. You have some options over here. You can either create a new project in an organization, just type the name and authorize, and the project will automatically create it. Or, this is our case, we're gonna select a project which is already created, and it is called a Strapi community called demo. I'm gonna authorize that. Okay, we're now authorized, and we can return back to Strapi. And yeah, we are logged in, and as you can see on the overview screen, let's just get me through that really quickly. There's a connected user, like the info about connected user, which project is connected, and how many keys are remaining in the organization. You can also click the button and get directly into the project in Localazy. Okay, another thing which I want to show you is the content transfer setup. Why do we need it? We need to set up the plugin basically before we start uploading and downloading the content. So the content transfer setup allows you to select which content type fields will be uploaded or uploaded to Localazy or downloaded back to Strapi. It's important to note that only the text-based content can be uploaded or downloaded, but it makes sense because like number will always be a number, time will always be a time, the Boolean switch will always be a Boolean switch, so like there's nothing to translate, right? And well, over here, there are all the collections we have rendered. And you can just click through them and select which fields you'd like to transfer to Localazy and back to Strapi. So for example, you can see like that the pages field is disabled, and that's because it's a number. So you cannot really like upload a number. Doesn't make any sense. If you decide for any reason to do not transfer a particular collection, you can always like click this switch and it won't be transferred anymore, even though like the fields itself have their own setup, but they won't just be transferred. And basically, yes, like this is it. There's one more point, and it's important to note that in order to that field to even appear over here, I mean, not to appear, but even though it's a text-based field, but to be able to check it or uncheck it, you need to have that field translatable in its setup. So let me just quickly show you that. So the author's name is not, like the localization for that field is not enabled over here. So it's gray. But
and I think that's by default, right? When you create a new field,
yes,
by default.
yes.
Not
I don't exactly know right now how the Strapi works. If by default you can choose whether to let the collection be localizable or not, I don't know. So and then like all those fields are allowed. I don't know. Mm-hmm. Like that's maybe a question for Paul. I don't know.
So just make sure when you create a new field, make sure to double check whether it's translatable or not.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So by default, it's not enabled. So if you want to add localization, like David demonstrated, go check that checkbox for each field type that you want.
Yes. Exactly. Okay. So, and one more thing regarding content transfer setup, as you can see over here, I'm just going to zoom it a little bit. There's this infinity symbol, which means that the lesson type field is a dynamic zone, and you have all of those components that are available to that field over here. So you can like recognize, oh yeah, this is a dynamic zone. So that it's on the same level as this is a dynamic zone. So you can choose whatever you want to transfer. Basically, yes, let's say we're ready. This is our setup. And we saved it. Okay, we're good. And the next thing, just go to the Localazy tab again, see the plugin, and click upload to Localazy over here. You can see that the default Strapi language is in English and the Localazy source language is in English as well. This is done automatically by like when you create the project through the OAuth, as I showed you before, it's automatically linked to the same languages. So you don't need to like have there's no troubles, like it just automatically pairs. But, and this is important, if you choose some other language over here, when you create the project in Localazy, like directly in Localazy, and then just you have a different default language over here in Strapi, you won't be able to upload. And there will be a notice, like you will see that there's an info message. So just make sure both of those languages are the same. Mm-hmm. Okay, so let me just hit the upload button. And we can see that the upload is completed. It should be in a project. Let me just check it. Let's go over here and refresh the page. And yes, like you can see some content over here. And with that, I will pass the word to Dan, and he'll show you the demo of Localazy and also translate the content we just uploaded before. I'll show you how it's downloaded back again to Strapi.
Awesome. Let's do that. So I'm going to bring Dan's screen on in just a moment. Here we go. Man, I'm so excited. It's so awesome. And I'm still like blown away that now you support dynamic zones. I'm just still, my mind is like, wow, that is crazy. It's
Something
awesome.
new for you to try out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. So the floor is yours, Dan. Let's go.
Can you see my screen just to make sure?
Yeah, I'm not sure if you're able to zoom in just a tiny bit more.
Sure.
Yeah,
Better?
perfect. Yeah, there you go. Perfect.
Yeah.
All right.
Because Dan also has the ultra wide screen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know. I could see that.
Yeah.
No worries. No worries.
I have 34 inches, I think.
Yeah.
Right. So before I move to localize interface, I just wanted to point out again, really, what I feel is really important. As David showed, that you can enable the localization of individual fields at any point during your development. So that means that you can have an existing, even large Strapi project already, and when you feel you're ready to start the localization journey, just enable it for all the fields and collections you feel like, and you can start. So it's never too late. It's never too late, and the entry barrier, thanks to how Strapi works, is really low. So that's very nice about that.
Yeah, like also if your models in Strapi, if the content changes, I mean, you just want to add some field, there's no problem. You can do that. Then just go to the content transfer setup I showed you before and just update it according to your needs, save it, and you can still upload, like no problem.
Yeah.
You're literally like saving people so much time. I just want to say that by creating this plugin, because doing this manually, doing this from scratch, and it's so time consuming. And I know when my last company I worked for, like working on localization was just like something that was ongoing forever.
Exactly.
And so like I'm so excited. Like I said, I'm so happy to have you both here, because this is such a cool plugin, and you literally like solving such a demanding need for people being able to have multilingual websites super easily.
Exactly. As you said yourself in one of your previous company, that you felt this friction. That's what I hear very often as well. Something along the lines that, well, starting now, translating an existing project, that would take so much time just to set it up, and then even more time and money to translate. Yes, to translate it, that will take some money, but starting the translations for Strapi, at least, is so simple and so great.
Nice.
I just wanted to showcase one more thing, that we have a dedicated section about Strapi in our documentation. So anytime you are unsure how to start, or you got stuck at some point, you can just go here, see how to install it, how to authorize, and description of individual screens and options you have at your disposal. Right. Now
you won't find anything about dynamic zones there, because we still need to update it. Just a side note, but
that's why you
fine.
have to watch this video on rerun. That's why we're doing it.
True. Yeah, that's true. We really wanted to release it before the call, but you know how it is. Documentation sometimes lags a little bit behind.
Just to know the fact that it works with dynamic zones, that's all I needed to hear. I'm just like, this is amazing. This is amazing. Awesome.
And it's pretty self-explanatory, but still, we will finalize the documentation. Right. So here's our content in English. We have 92 uploaded source keys. And just to clarify what a source key is, it's this key value pair in your main language, which is English for this project. So that's just the source key. There is a limitation on the number of source keys you can have per plan, but there is no limitation on the number of languages you can support, meaning that there is absolutely no difference whether you translate into one language or 100 of languages. The limit would still be the same. Some other thing that is important to show here is that, for instance, our story as a field was set up to be translatable. So we can see it here as a part of that dynamic component. But for instance, what was there? Something like capacity wasn't a translatable field, so you won't find it here. So that's the difference between the translatable and non-translatable fields. Right. First thing you would probably like to do when you manage to upload your content is to add new languages, new target languages. So let's start by adding, for instance, German. And now you have multiple options how to start with the translations. You can invite contributors to this project, and you can give them various roles. You can see there's already plenty of them, and that's mainly because they are inherited from our workspace members, but you can invite extra members to this project only. And the same as with the number of languages, there is no limitation whatsoever on how many people and contributors you want to invite, and you can give them one of the following roles. Just two roles that are worth mentioning the most. The translator is somebody who just provides suggestions, but the reviewer needs to approve those suggestions or reject them. On the other hand, if you have somebody who knows is a good translator and nobody would be reviewing their translations anyways, you can assign them the role of at least trusted translator, and their translations would be automatically approved. So that is one way how you can do the translations. The other way, naturally, is that you will do it on your own. And we have several features that can help you with that. You can see, naturally, the source value, the key you are translating. Optionally, you can provide translation notes for the users. And also, you see these helpful suggestions at the bottom, which either come from machine translation engines, in this case from Amazon, DeepL, and Google. Or if I'll find a good example, maybe, yeah, with ShareTM, those are community translations. And you can, for instance, see that fresh has been translated like frisch in 8 projects in Localazy. And this is a great way how to facilitate the translations, because if you see that something has been translated multiple times in another project, it's a good chance that it is a good quality translation. So I can just use this. I can use these suggestions. Salad is even more times translated like salad in German. So again, probably a good suggestion. So I can use that, and so on. So this is how the translate looks like. You see some other tabs. You can see similar strings in your application. If some are similar, you can see if it was translated into other languages somehow. You can upload and attach screenshots to individual screens. And you can always have some comments, ask questions, how you mean it, in what context is that used, could you attach a screenshot, something along those lines. So that's another option how you can provide the translations. You can also order the translations from us if you don't want to be burdened by that, and we will translate everything for you. And it's worth noting that our translators are using Localazy themselves. So anything that I'm showing to you and anything that you can upload to help with the translation context, our translators would see that as well. And the last option that is very commonly used is to just have everything translated via machine translations. And so, for instance, I can use one of the following machine engine providers. I like DeepL the most. You can check that you want to approve all the translations, meaning that you can use them immediately without the need for review. And I can just confirm that. This will take a couple of seconds. One refresh, another one. Hopefully it won't take too long. There you go. It translated most of the project. Yeah, 97%. The rest is, the remaining 3% got into review by accident, so I can just approve that, approve. And there you go. All the content has been translated via machine translation in, what was it, like 30 seconds maybe? And I could already use that in Strapi. But before I pass word back to David, I will show you a couple more features that we offer that can improve the quality even further. So let's add Russian this time, for instance. And one really helpful feature is this glossary, which is also known as the dictionary of terms, where you can define description and recommended translations for some terms that could be tricky for the translators. And this is a great place where you can define, for instance, names which shouldn't be translated. If I believe there is Mr. Potato somewhere inside, which I found out yesterday it's an American toy, I can say that this is a glossary term, this is the description for it, and since I'm not checking this, I don't want this to be translated into other languages. And now, if I look it up in Russian, for instance, Mr. Potato or Potato Head, my bad, you can see it highlighted in light yellow. It has the description, and if I'll try to provide a translation which doesn't contain this untranslatable phrase, it will warn me, and if I'll try to save it, it will warn me again. So this is a great feature how you can control the quality of translations and use it to explain some tricky terms or names and so on. Another feature that we can detect for you is, do we have something? Yeah, we have HTML markup and placeholders, which is something you usually want to include in the translations and is something that you usually don't want to translate, or almost always in case of markup and placeholders. And again, if I would try to provide translation without actually providing those markups, again, I will be warned about that. And if I try to save, I will be warned about that again. So this is a great example of a translation quality feature we have in place. But now let's just stick to German to keep it simple. German is fully translated, and at this point, I can pass the word back to David, who will show you how to download it back to the Strapi plugin or to the Strapi instance.
Awesome. So let me go ahead and pull David's screen up. Yeah, it looks amazing. All those like additional features, you don't think of them before doing your translations, but that's awesome that you could do that. Very cool. Very cool. Super excited.
Yeah. Okay, Dan. So thank you for translating my content. Thank you for that.
And yeah, that's all right. That's a good point, David. You can see this separation of concerns. David is a maintainer and a developer, and he doesn't want to care about the translations at all. He doesn't want to be bothered with translating the content. Well, me, as somebody who is in charge of making the translations, I did it for him, and now I can just ping him and say, hey, the translations are ready.
Yeah, that's amazing. Sure. That's amazing how you could work asynchronously almost. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. This is so cool.
Yeah, it's great. Like I don't even need to go to Localazy, and then will just let me know that it's translated, and I can again log into my Strapi and just download the content. Okay, so I'll continue right where I stopped before, so you can still see that the green success toast is here, that upload was completed. But anyway, let's go to download to Strapi now and just click the button. It's as simple as that. And the download was completed and the content was successfully imported to Strapi. And as you can see, there is more information that the German locale was created. Also, the Russian locale was created, even though any of the content was translated in there. But like the local was created, it's in Localazy. So you can still like see, okay, let's just have it the same in Strapi. So we also created the Russian locale. And yes, and now there's couple of, I don't know, like 15, I don't know how many newly created entries in German language. You can see that. And okay, so I think everyone is really everyone would like to see the content, right? It is translated. So let's go to the content manager, and Okay, let's take the cookbook we have. Let's go to this one. And okay, I need to refresh the page. Yes, I can see the German. And you can see it. You can see that it is already that entry is already localized. So the title is in German. The pages stay the same. We have Kartoffelsalat over here, and yeah, like the estimated cook time, which we didn't transfer to Localazy, it stayed the same because those values which are not transferred to Localazy and therefore downloaded back to Strapi because we don't have them in Localazy. For those values, the fallback value from the default language, which means English for now in our project, is used. So basically, we didn't have the image uploaded. So the image is taken from the default language. Also, like for the salad entry from the gallery, also all of the ingredients, which are a nested component, because this is already a component in that entry, and this is a nested component again, the repeatable component again. So you can see that all of that is translated. Okay, and let me show you the other example as well, which is the course chapter lesson relation demo, like that example. And if we click on course and go to German right now, we can see that this is also translated. And if we click over here, we can see that, well, this is interesting. I don't think that in German, like addition is addition. I don't know, but anyway, like the machine translation, it thinks that it's addition as well. So it added addition. It created the localized entry with addition again.
I mean,
but anyway,
that's the reason why professional translators still exist in
exactly.
the world.
No,
Machine translations.
That's the point I was going to say quickly, because you have the three options that at least you demonstrated. One, you could manually go and translate your content yourself, which will be time consuming. Two, you could rely on machine translation, which might have these little errors. So you might still have to go and check and double check your content. Or the third option, like you said, there's a reason why professional translators exist, is maybe just don't worry with the headaches and request someone translate that content for you, so you know that it's done. And I feel like as a company where you have a lot of content, you much rather pay for the convenience of having some professional translate your content via your option, let us handle that for you. Exactly. And that way you just know it's going to be done, you know it's going to be right, and just go that route. But I love the fact that you still give options for people to either do it themselves or do machine translation.
I actually think that it's very, very nice coincidence that you bumped into a poor translation, because it just shows, that having everything translated via machine translations, as you could see yourself, is super quick and super easy. And it could be a good option if you're just trying a new market, for instance, or trying localization for the first time. If you mean it seriously, you can see for yourself that relying on humans, at least as of today and this year, is still the best approach you can take.
Yeah.
Okay, so you might be surprised right now, because in the English entry you can see that there are two lessons related to this chapter, but when I click the German, it's empty. You may wonder why is that? What happened? Okay, it's really simple, and the solution for that is really simple. So basically, because we're downloading the content from Localazy in it's not a random order, but it's the order given by the Localazy platform. Those entries might come in different order, and they don't know about the relations in Strapi. And therefore, some entries might be created after they should have been like bonded to this entry. The solution is super simple. Just hit the download button again. And it, just to note, it only happens within the relations, because you just relate ID to another ID, and that ID doesn't exist, so you don't have anything to add like the ID to bond. Okay, I hit the download button again. It'll download it. As you can see, it downloaded successfully again and just updated those entries. It didn't recreate them. It just updated them. So if I go to the content manager again and go to the chapter right now and select the German entry, you can see that it is already here. And if I click it, I have the lesson over here. And just to mention and to remind, this is the dynamic component, the dynamic zone, sorry. And the dynamic zone is also translated. If I go to the other lesson, there's a different dynamic zone component called quiz. And I need to select the German entry. And it's also translated. I mean, 1 + 1, yeah, like it's it will be always it will always be 1 + 1. But
Well,
how many
maybe the
cups
reason
are on
it
this
is in
photo?
different languages.
Yeah, it will be interesting, right? Yeah, but the text is translated anyway. Yeah, that's basically it from the demo. What's interesting, in my opinion, and we added this 2 weeks ago, not 1 week ago, like the dynamic zones, but 2 weeks ago, is that those relations. I really found it interesting. When you go to the, well, yeah, like the chapter I just showed you, that in English, those relations are in English, and in German, those relations are in German. It was not that easy to implement it.
That is crazy.
It's just like, yeah, like it was like, yeah, okay, so this is in German, but those entries, those related entries for that base language, for that English language entry, they're in English, but I need to find those German ones and pair them. Like, yeah, it was a bit tricky, but yeah, I think this is a nice feature.
This is amazing. So we do have a question from Dennis. Hey, Dennis, great to see you here, by the way. But he's wondering, does the plugin handle translation of all text, captions, or media fields?
It does not. It's just, yeah, it just takes the value from the base language, like from the default language, and it takes that value because we don't translate them, those images, those media fields. So it just takes that value and well, like copies it into that localized entry. But thank you. That might be something we might consider implementing. Like that's great. Like we want to hear as much feedback as we can and just do something with it.
Exactly. As I said at the beginning, dynamic components, translation of
That's
dynamic
huge.
components also exist thanks to feedback.
Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, for like, if you wanted to do a caption or like an alt thing, like you can create a field, I'm assuming, and then just use that and translate the content within that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like that's a bit of something I've done within the cookbook, right? Like I made the main image over here. There was just the image, but like I added the field that there can be a image title, like which might be the alt, right?
Yep.
And some description, and you can translate that and just get that content on your front end on the website. But they like this itself, no, you can't translate. You can't like translate it.
And to me, like this workaround is perfectly fine. I normally create my own fields anyway for specific things. So this is cool. Yeah. No, awesome. Dennis, great question.
Yeah,
thank you.
So
thank you for the question.
All right, before we get too far, because I do want to talk about the plugin development side of things and your experience, hear your feedback, good and the bad, because I think it's important for us to also get feedback to try to improve that process easier. But before we do that, I know you have a special unlocalized service that I saw you mentioned in the comments. and maybe like just talk about how can people sign up for the service and what are the different tiers are.
Sure. So anybody can sign up at Localazy totally for free. Everybody receives, if you remember what I said about those source keys, so everybody receives 200 source key on the free plan, which is more than enough to try out some empty Strapi instance. Just create one collection and try it out, try to upload, try to translate something, maybe invite your colleagues and download it back to Strapi. If you want access to additional features, to as I showed you, the translation of all the content via machine translations, you need to be at least on the middle plan, which we call the autopilot plan, and that one costs $49 per month or $490 per year, assuming that 3,500 source keys is enough for you. But
yeah,
for most of the websites, that's more than enough. Correct me if I'm wrong, David, but Strapi is also included in that autopilot plan, right?
Yes, it should be, but for now it's still within the free tier, because we want to get as much users or as many users as we can on board to try it and get us some feedback. So we still have it on a free tier, so you can try it out even though if you're on a free tier. But yeah, like it won't be indefinitely like that. So
yeah, definitely go try it out. Here's one thing I want to say, because like there's a lot of people like, I want free. Like the point is, it's like service that you literally, like, this is the challenge. I would say, why don't you handle trends? Like, because I hear this a lot. I'm not upset about it because I get it. Everybody wants stuff for free. But here's the thing, like, this service for me is a no-brainer, because if I had to hire a person to do this for me, it would definitely cost way more money than your like monthly service. And so for me, the way I look at it, like I'm a big believer, if something solves a problem that I have where I don't have to have the headache to worry about it, I will pay whatever the requirement is. Because to me, like, I'm not paying for the service, believe it or not. I'm paying for the sanity that I'm going to have for not worrying about it. And so to me, like, that's how I make judgment. And so for me, like with companies that translation is important, why would you want to play, not have something that does it for you, that you don't have to worry about it? And so for me, like 100% like makes sense. The pricing to me makes sense. And like I said, I'm building a project. I'm definitely going to use Localazy in that project. I've used it in a practice project just to kind of learn more about the plugin, but I'm super excited. And to see, like Dennis said, he's the relations and dynamic zone translation is really great to have. And he says, great work on that, because that's super huge. And you just recently, released those new features. And it's amazing to see that you continue to bring value and continue to update the plugin to make your service be the best that it can. And so everybody go definitely check out Localazy, try it out using their free tier. There's no barrier for you to do that, and then make a decision if this is something that will be worth for your project. But in my opinion, if translation is important, it'll save you money long term than trying to spend hours and time doing it yourself. Like just seeing the manual process, I was just like, I don't want to do it. It's
we just had three or four entries, right? Like imagine like all of your content containing, I don't know, like hundreds of entries, like with the components and nested components and dynamic zones and stuff. Like it's crazy.
Yep. And so we have one more question before I'll ask my questions in terms of plugins, because I do want to make sure that we're listening to our community members and users who are asking questions in the comments. So if you have a question in the comment, let us know. But PDC Nomad's asking a question about the glossary. Is there also a possibility to fixate the translation of a certain word? And then he uses an example. I'm not even going to try to pronounce it. Will always be translated to potato salad bowl in English.
Kartoffelsalat. Yeah. Great question. I showed you one type of the glossary term, and that was the non-translatable glossary term. but you have the opportunity to switch the settings to say that the term is actually translatable. And you can also define the desired translation in individual languages. So if you know that you want to translate Kartoffelsalat as potato salad bowl, you can absolutely do that. And if the translator would provide a translation that would not contain the recommended translation, you would be warned again the same way as it was when it didn't contain the non-translatable term. So yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. So it is possible. Thanks for that question and clearing that. So, David, what was your experience building this plugin? Take us through the good and the bad. We could take it. I hope. I hope we could take it.
Yeah, yeah. It wasn't that bad, Paul. So no, all good. Okay. First of all, I'd like to mention that it took a little bit less than 2 months of like hard work to release the first version, and I'm gonna tell you why. Like, first of all, this is my first experience with Strapi, because I never used it before, so maybe that's why it took so long. And like the beginnings were quite hard, I'd say, because there's like new APIs I've never seen before on server part, and also I was totally new to React because we usually develop in Vue.js, so it was also something new. I mean, like, front-end framework is still a front-end framework, but there are like tiny
Different than,
nuances.
yeah.
It's different. It's a bit different, and like from the beginning, I was a bit concerned about the documentation of Strapi, because like only the basics were shown. So it was kind of a trial and error method in the early stage of development. And like I needed not only go through the basics, but I needed the detailed info of how the content structures work.
Yeah.
But I got through that over the time, and like on the other hand, the community on Discord was really like super helpful, and like thank you all the people from Discord Strapi community who helped me. Like, I asked a couple of questions over there, and they were really helpful, and everyone like solved the problem in minutes, in hours. Like,
Yeah.
it was super quick. Yeah.
Yeah. I was just going to say, to your point, you're absolutely right. The documentation, we do need to improve it. One of the challenges we have is trying to identify all the different use cases that people will have building their plugin. We also, I did release, if someone's looking to get into like never build a plugin, we probably did it after the fact, but we did release a little course on how to get started with building a plugin that covers all the basic things you could get started with, where you could use either documentation, which we still need to improve. But like you said, to your point, Dave, like, yeah, Discord community and our forum is probably the best place to go with questions. So if you're not a member on our Discord, definitely join. And by the way, you also have Discord. So if anybody has questions about Localazy and any help, they could find you there as well, correct?
Well, it's kind of in a maintenance mode
Maintenance
at the
mode
moment.
right now? Okay. No worries.
We moved elsewhere. We're using a discourse forum for now, for the time being.
Okay, cool. So okay, where's the best place if they want to ask questions from you guys about the product? What's the best way to do it? I guess I should phrase it like that.
They'll be at discuss@localazy.com, and hopefully somebody from our team can type it in the comment section, because I know they're watching.
Awesome. No, fantastic. Good. Having the support, very important. Yeah, no, that's awesome. So let's, what other like experience, like kind of notes you would tell us about like plugin development? So you told us about that we need to work on the documentation to have some more substantial.
I was just gonna say before you started talking, I was just about to say that the docs got better over the time. That I can notice that even the more advanced examples with components and dynamic zones are already present in the current version. And I also saw you release or made this course for making the plugins, which is also great. But anyway, like I was like during the development, I was I was always saying on our weekly meetings with the guys from Localazy that I'm living in a recursion. I was really like I was living in recursions for a couple of weeks because all of those stuff I needed to handle to cover. It was just recursions, right? Because like
Yep.
you need to cover all the possible content type structures and combinations.
Yeah, you have
You
no idea
need
what
to
that's gonna
cover
be. Yeah.
that content transfer setup of that plugin. You need to handle the Strapi content processing during the upload and during the download. And yeah, it was just recursions.
So if
And
anybody has
yeah,
questions about recursion in JavaScript,
yeah, like
talk to
yeah,
David. He'll
I'm
help you
master of
out.
recursions. Yeah. So I started loving Lodash during the development because it would like help me a lot because it would be like a couple levels harder without it. Because all of those omit deep, merge deep, deep set, deep get, like it helped me. Like Lodash was a saver for me. And well, yeah, basically, and then like we pushed it for review, the plugin, and the review process it was amazing. Like it was great. We felt like that the people from Strapi sort of prioritized us. We were done within 2 weeks, like with both the design and code reviews. So yeah, we just got verified really quickly. Like I said, like not maybe even 2 weeks, like week and a half.
Yeah.
So it was great. Yeah.
No, that's awesome because, like you said, it really helps everybody because you get access to another market through creating a plugin from Strapi that utilizes service. For us, we get an amazing translation option that we know a lot of people ask for, and so having you have that plugin definitely makes sense. And we do want to, like I was actually going to say, based on your plugin experience, the good, the bad, would you still recommend other companies, if they have a service or they have a solution that they want to provide, should they consider building a plugin?
Absolutely. I think the experience is even reusable even when you're building plugins for different services. So
Yep.
as with almost everything, it's the hardest to make the first one. And even though you might not see the benefits like the very next day or maybe not the next week, the fruit of your efforts will come for sure. And it's a great way, because why to reinvent the wheel in the end, right? When
Yeah.
you can make a plugin, which is so much easier.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. To me, like I feel more companies that have a service, like we have, like if you go to Strapi Marketplace, you'll see all the different plugins that we have. We have plugins
Exactly.
from Mux. We have plugins that support Shopify. And so I love the
Exactly,
fact
yeah.
that if functionality doesn't exist, like someone as an individual or a company could go ahead and create that plugin and
Exactly.
share that benefit. So really awesome. So man, I want to be mindful of your time. I know we're coming on for an hour. So I want to thank both you, David and Dan, for stopping by. I love everything you're doing with the plugin. Anytime there's a crazy update, definitely let us know. And any parting words before we finish this live stream?
Well, I'm just super glad that I could be here, show you the plugin, and yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it. And see you soon, maybe in Localazy platform. You know,
That's
just
right.
try the plugin and let us know your feedback. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely go give it a try. It's amazing. I love it.
Yeah, thank you, Paul, very much for having us and inviting us. I hope that everybody who's been watching us live and everybody who will be watching this later will enjoy using Localazy. Definitely give it a shot. It's never too late to start translating. And at the same time, it's always late if you haven't started already. So
Yeah.
give
And
it
I
a
love,
shot, and hopefully we'll see you around at Localazy.
yeah, and I was gonna say, if anyone's jumping late on the stream, it's going to be recorded. It's going to be on our YouTube channel. Definitely rewatch it. The demo was amazing. The fact, like all the different features you showed, the fact that you handle dynamic zones, like blew my mind. So thank you so much, and thanks everybody for joining. And if you want to continue this conversation, you could always join Strapi Discord. We love to hang out there. With that being said, thanks so much, and everybody have a great rest of the day, evening, or night, wherever you are. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks.